Please welcome Dan Clark.
It's an honor to be here. For those of you who are from Alberta and Saskatchewan, bonjour, comment ça va, eh? Je suis très content d'être ici, eh? And I want you to feel left out. What would you say to yourselves? Freedom 55. I remember when that was organized. Wealth and estate planning. And yet we're under the same umbrella called London Life, and it's an honor to be here. What would you say to yourselves if you were given 4.5 hours, as I have been? That was a joke, Snishny. What would you say to yourselves? You're elite advisors. You're here in Cabo for a reason, because you qualified and did X number of dollars worth of business. But the question remains, why are you here? Is this just an incentive trip? Is just a thank you from London Life to suck up so that you do it again and qualify for next year's event? Or is the real reason why you're here is to validate what Max Lucado said? He said, we must be willing to pay any price and travel any distance to associate with extraordinary human beings. It's an honor to always see Mr. Loney and to have him on stage in the opening. It was great to know that he's here and paying that commitment, that visible commitment to show how much he really cares about you. I know that London Life has been in existence for 137 years. And I think the only one that was actually at the very first meeting was Bob Healy from Halifax. And to see how vibrant he still is and still how passionate he is about the business has got to inspire everybody. Because he has not changed. Regardless of how many things around him have changed, he has not changed. Just like Pishnishni's hair, it hasn't changed, it hasn't moved since 1977. And I'm sensitive to that because I'm losing hair right here and I'm growing it in places I don't even need it. Not a fair trade-off. My only hope is that the hair in my right ear will grow long enough so I can comb it up over the top of my head. Fake all of you out. Prior to me coming up on stage, Mr. Eric Holt from Toronto came up and reacquainted himself with me. What a great human being. I met him at Rimrock. Some of you were there probably in about 2001 up in Banff. And as he and I got acquainted on a personal level, he realized that my favorite chocolate bar in the entire world is a Mars bar. And you can get that in the States, but it's not the same. The quality of chocolate, the way it melts in your mouth from Canada is so exquisite. And he brought me an entire case of Mars bars when I spoke in Hawaii. Can you imagine what he went through just to get it there from Toronto? And to reacquaint myself with him today, it's just about relationships, and it's such an honor to be here. Mike Keegan, I've known him for a long time. I love this guy. What a good man. And to the rest of you and those I had the privilege of sharing dinner with, thanks for letting me join you at your table. I hope all of you partook of that villa opportunity. See Jim on the front row, he's laughing. He's like, thanks for coming to one of my homes. I don't know which one was your home, but the one we went to was about a $24 million deal, about half of what you make. It's not right. At my table, we had Matisse, and we had his beautiful wife, Jody, who's an educator. She teaches the wee lads and lassies. I love teachers. Teaching is the profession that makes all other professions possible. How many of you went on a fishing expedition yesterday? How many of you caught a fish? You ticked me off. We were out there for 5 hours. We came home with absolutely nada. We saw a couple of fins sticking out of the water, and so now we're trying to make that a big deal. I should have asked, how many of you saw fins? Don't talk about this fish. But do you realize yesterday, even though we did not catch a marlin, there were unintended consequences that I believe are at the heart and soul of why we're here in Cabo. We went out with the intention, with the idea of catching a marlin, of fighting the mighty fish and landing it on the back of our boat with Libby and Charmaine and Rob. And yet, the unintended consequences are really what made that trip valuable. I made 3 new friends. We saw whales breach out of the ocean, full body, belly flops. Unbelievable. We got to cruise with a school of over 100 dolphins for probably 15 or 20 minutes in the open waters. We got to throw fish to flying pelicans at the back of our boat. We got to feed a sea lion off the back of the boat. Hand feed a sea lion. Reminded me of some of the guys I used to play football with. It was an awesome experience. The unintended consequences of this conference, hopefully, are the reason why you're here. Adversity introduces us to ourselves. No one will ever know how good we can become until we are tested, until we are stretched, until we believe that as we give more, we obviously get more because of unintended consequences of just moving forward with passion, creativity, and imagination to make a difference in this world of ours. Let's talk emotion. Let's talk one moments in time. Let's talk John Furlong and what he did for Canada, what he did for the world. Own the podium. Own the podium. Yeah, Canada's going to kick butt and take names. And the day before the Olympics begin, the young loser from Georgia dies in practice at 10 o'clock in the morning. And the flame arrives at the stadium at 12 noon. You're John Furlong. One moment in time can change everything. What did he do? Fold his tent, or did he rise to the occasion with passion, creativity, and imagination and turn it into a human event, not a sporting competition? Who incidentally, through Georgia tradition, 40 days later, traveled to Georgia with, I believe, Wayne Gretzky to attend the funeral of this Olympian to represent Canada and the rest of us. 1 week goes by, no medals for Canada, and out of the blue, here comes Alexander Bilodeau. Snowboard moguls? Are you kidding me? I don't even think Furlong knew that was an event. And you know the inspirational story with his younger brother at the finish line, who was the true hero in the story that inspired the world one moment at a time. And all of a sudden you have Joanne Rochette from Quebec. Her mother and father fly in for the Olympics. She's been training for years and years and years. And her mother unexpectedly dies of a heart attack. And the world is watching. Will she go out on the ice at all? We understand if she does not. Talk about one moment in time. Talk about emotion. With her performing at a high level with tears streaming down her cheeks as she concluded. And you who are there, and me on my sofa, leaping to our feet and just cheering her on. That's what people do for you when you deliver a death benefits check. It's what people do for you when you can show them that as they retire, their financial security is in place because of you, because of London Life's superior products, amazing service, amazing support, amazing training. Yeah, it all makes sense to me. Unbelievable Olympics for Canada, which boils down to the last couple of days. Canadian women's hockey team wins. Talk about pressure on the boys. Talk about having an opportunity in the last event, the gold medal hockey match. Canada, USA doesn't get any better than that. The drama's building. And if Canada wins, they actually win more medals than any other host country in the history of the Olympics. Unbelievable. So guys, you're on the men's hockey team. Is there pressure? No. Pressure is not something that is naturally there. It's created when you question your own ability. When you know what you can do, there's no pressure. Is it a crisis? No. Crisis does not make or break the man or woman. It just reveals the true character within. Prove what you're made of. Fire up, especially when USA beat them a couple of days before on a Sunday night, 5-3. I'm so excited I had a chance to say that in front of you. I've been waiting. In fact, let me repeat that. USA beat Canada 5-3, and we weren't supposed to. Talk about a dream come true. Then the women knock us off. And the momentum builds, and Canada goes up 2 goals. And I'm sitting there in my living room going, well, I suppose that's what was going to happen, and that's what's supposed to happen. But come on, USA. Come on, USA. All of a sudden, another goal scored by U.S. 24 seconds left in regulation. Puck goes in the net, ties it up, sends it into overtime. I'm going nuts. I'm calling all my friends. I'm trying to get a hold of Pishnishny. See? He won't answer. He doesn't care. And then you know the rest of the story. Iggy, good for about 30 goals a year for the Flames. How many were there on the Canadian Olympic hockey team? Maybe 12 clubs represented, all coming together to play for the flag, to play for y'all, to play for the world. And in overtime, Iggy digs it out of the corner, and he slides it to Crosby. And as I've talked to some hockey experts, they will be clearly the first to point out that had Crosby looked up at the net, the goaltender would have had time to set and most likely would have blocked that shot. But because Crosby instinctively knew where the net was, he did not look up. He didn't give anybody any time to set up for anything, and he just knocked that puck into the net, and Canada wins. And talk about emotion, especially for someone like me who has spoken in all 10 provinces of Canada since 1983 every year. I love your country. My dad lived in Montreal for a long time, almost married a Canuck. Unbelievable country you have, and I love you, and thank you so much for not attacking us all these years. And while I'm at it, thank you so much for curling. Apparently a couple of drunk Canadians went into a Yukon bar and they said, hey, if we combine housework with bowling, we could actually be on an Olympic team. And the good news is we will never be accused of using performance-enhancing drugs. This is a slam dunk. For me, where it all came together is when they showed the hockey team. Players from all across Canada playing for all kinds of NHL franchises, arm in arm, singing, "O Canada." Not standing there being all macho and cool, but singing, "O Canada." That's magnificent emotion in action. And I guarantee that's what the world remembers, and that's why Vancouver was collectively called and will always remain probably the very best Olympics in the history of Olympics. Amazing what you were able to accomplish, one moment, one person at a time.